Hello everybody and welcome to the second day of the Galactic Collaboration Summit. We have got 30 new sessions today, and today with me as always Spencer Harbar. Hi Spence.
Hi Addis, hello everybody.
Hi. We have had some great fun on the first day. We have had a great turnout of the people on the first day. In the peaks we had like 2,000 plus people, which was really great to see from us. There were a lot of comments, sessions were very well visited. Spence, can you give us kind of a recap and feedback on the first day? What did you like and what you did not like?
Sure, yeah, overall extremely happy with day one. Obviously we were both a little bit kind of sort of not nervous, but you know, any number of things could have happened, and thankfully most of them didn't. We were very pleased with the overall sort of delivery. I'm very pleased with the content as well. I think it was a very good mix of different topics and different kind of levels, if you want. Obviously, a very good sort of start with Jeff's keynote, which gave a very good broad overview of the success of the platform, but also, you know, a few pointers in terms of what's coming down the road. Very pleased, in fact, in particular with the sort of interactivity that we had with the audience. Whilst it, you know, we knew going in it would be slightly limited in terms of the chat experience, it was, you know, good quality questions and conversations happening, quite a lot of interaction between attendees as well, not just sort of questions for the speakers and so on, but also other conversations. And of course, you know, that quite pleased with the spread of where people were joining from, you know, which was a concern in terms of time zones and things, always is with these type of events. So yeah, overall very happy. And I think the best part about it from my perspective in terms of the content was that we sort of hit the right topics and levels. You know, it wasn't a whole bunch of stuff that was like really sort of too deep. It wasn't a bunch of stuff that was too much sort of really introductory. So a nice kind of middle ground there, which I think works very well for this type of event. As does, of course, the session length being half an hour is probably it's got to be the sweet spot, I would say, for this type of online event, and also makes it, you know, much easier to have a kind of solid one-point story to a lot of the sessions. So yeah, that was basically my take on the sessions that I
actually did want to ask you about those 30-minute sessions, because there were quite some of comments that we have got about those ones. I just wanted to follow up what you said on the turnout and all the different places that people have been coming from. I have been diving a bit into analytics of the people and the visitors, who was there, what type of people from the geographies. We have seen that in the beginning of the event, around Jeff's keynote, we have had the first spike, around 2,000 people, which were mainly Europeans, which is not surprising because we were starting out to 1 p.m. Central European time, which would be noon British Standard Time. So yes, we would be. That was actually something that we were expecting. The number of the attendees did slowly drop towards the later sessions, which was also expected, dinner time. But then again, towards the end, we had another huge spike, but this time the IP addresses were from the Americas, from the north. So you have seen the IP addresses coming from the Canada, United States, and South American countries. So this was kind of very interesting to observe from where people were coming. We had quite some comments and feedback, positive feedback about short sessions, 30-minute sessions, as Spencer said. They were really focused. The speakers were going directly to the point of the session. But we also had some comments about having 2 separate dates. We also had comment on the majority of the sessions being pre-recorded, which we basically did because we had to do, because speakers are coming from at least 3 or 4 continents, from United States over Europe to New Zealand to South Africa to wherever. And right, we had some of those things that we usually would not do in a regular in-person conference. Can you tell us something about those decisions and how did they play out on the end?
Yeah, so for sure the main one was around having the sessions be pre-recorded. Wasn't for one reason, obviously the inability to have a effectively half a day conference, in terms of the time that it's on for would, basically mandate that. Unless, the alternative would be that if it was all live sessions, then the only speakers would be the ones that were either willing to be up in the middle of the night for us or be local. So that was clearly a key driver for it. But it's also around sort of less significant aspects, but also, they're still important. So by having a pre-recorded session, you don't have aggravation in terms of any kind of audio-visual issues from the start. It's a lot less work behind the scenes to make happen. And it also significantly reduces the potential problems technically around the quality of the stream, lags. That could be a video lag, or it could be a lag between video and audio, these kind of things that particularly for demonstrations, would make it kind of unpleasant. Of course, ideal world, you'd always like everything to be happening live and one-on-one, but another reason for choosing not to do that is because of the interactivity. If you double the shorter session length with Q&A, if it's a live session, it's completely impossible for the speaker of the session to be able to address the questions. Whereas if it's a pre-recording and the speaker can join the call as well, then there is an opportunity for them to answer the questions. So it didn't happen, in every session for the same reasons, location and so on. But for a large number of them, the speaker was there and was able to address questions during the event. So, it's all of those things combined together, along with, obviously, from our point of view as the sort of the backroom staff, as it were, putting it together, it makes it a lot more practical from a logistical point of view. I would like to say that really with not having been involved in anything for many years that can be directly compared, it also improves the overall session quality if it's pre-recorded, because skips in demos can be edited out, or time periods where nothing's happening in the demo and you're waiting on SharePoint to finish doing something, not that ever happens, of course, but those things can all be edited out. Maybe the speaker might revisit certain sections of it whilst they're creating the video, that kind of thing. So, there's a lot of benefits. It's like YouTube, right? If you're going to put a tutorial on YouTube, are you going to do it live or are you going to pre-record it? Most people are going to choose to pre-record it.
It's going to do pre-recording. About questions and interactivity, we have a lot of questions. As we said, speakers were often there and answering those questions. We have promised that we will be publishing those publish those answers online, and we are not forgetting our promise. We are comprising all the answers after the conference. Probably sometimes the next week, when we got all the answer, we will have a blog post with all the topics and with all the questions and the answers being published on collabmagazine.com. Those of you guys who were present at the European Collaboration Summit. You know our printed collab magazine. One is just behind Spence on this wall. Yeah, there it is. That's one from the 2 years ago, right? We also have the online version where all the articles can be found. It's collabmagazine.com, and this is where all the answers on the questions that you have been asking in the day 1 and today on the day 2 are going to be published. Speaking about European Collaboration Summit, the dates have been moved. Now we have joined it with the European Cloud Summit. So we are going to have one large European collaboration, Microsoft 365 and Cloud Azure show. We have 2,000 plus already registered attendees for October. And if everything works right in this situation, and if October is a thing, which we certainly all hope, this is going to be a hell of a show with 2 conferences under one roof and 2,000 plus people. Let's see how much it's going to be on the end. For all the price of the only one conference, basically for the price of 300 euros. Spence, tell us a bit about how that's going to look like from the program side.
Yeah, so we haven't published the combined program as yet. We will be doing so shortly, but the overall kind of idea, as Addis already sort of intimated, is not to combine the events so that it looks as if everything is a sort of one collab summit. You know, it would be clearly obvious which tracks or which content is from the Cloud Summit versus which is from the Collab Summit. But important to note that if you have the ticket, you can pick and choose which you go to. So we're going to basically pick the best of Collab Summit and the best of Cloud Summit, and this goes for the breakout sessions as well as the pre-conference tutorials. So combine the material together. There may be some small degree of a tiny little bit of overlap, which we would have had anyway with the separate conferences, but for the most part, very distinct sort of delineation between what would normally be in Collab Summit versus what would be at Cloud Summit. And also, you know, everything will be clearly signed and marked in that fashion as well, which I think is quite important, so that, you know, there isn't a sort of confusion around the agenda and so on. Also, you know, I'm kind of joking now, but, you know, we might consider having separate areas for different groups. No, I'm just kidding. We wouldn't do that. But, you know, it's going to be an interesting to see the interaction across the communities there. But we certainly think it's the right thing to do. You know, all under an assumption, of course, that the October event is all systems go ahead. What that does mean, of course, is that there will be, you know, there'll be slightly less content from both areas, and we, you know, that's our next challenge, if you will, after we wrap up today's conference and all of the associated knock-on, is to figure out the best way to do
what we less we speak here about 14 to 15 full day tutorials and 150 plus sessions. So this is there's definitely going to be quite some content. I just wanted to add from the organizational perspective, because none of us is doing this for living, and basically as pandemic situation has forced us to move Collab Summit towards the autumn. It seemed that on the end we will be delivering 2 big conferences within 10 days, and with our very, very small team, it's basically only 4 of us doing everything that you see around, including this conference. It will be virtually impossible to do something like that. We have luckily managed to talk to our venues and all the other vendors and suppliers that are involved in that to basically allow us to do this and to merge 2 events into one event.
Yeah, absolutely. Whilst we could have proceeded with, effectively 2 events in that short space of time, we wouldn't have been able to do that and keep our quality bar. And so by effectively doing 2 events, but instead of doing them spread over a short period of time, we do them at the same time. We can accommodate the two sides of the coin.
Right, our 20 minutes are gone.
Yes.
Who is coming next in this track?
Okay. So yeah, today we basically kick off with another great keynote from Laurie Pottmeyer, the Microsoft product group community lead. She's going to talk about her experience of how Teams has changed the way that she works, and hopefully give a lot of good pointers to everybody in terms of how to get the best out of it. Also got obviously 30 other really good sessions as well. We can pick out some highlights. At the very end of the day, we have a session from Microsoft on the newly announced Microsoft lists, which I think is super important for everybody. Even if you're on the fringes, definitely something to check out. We've got
a session.
Yeah, we've got a great session from Martina about how to leverage this technology to help in crisis communication. So that's, again, something that's kind of, more topical than it would have been otherwise. Yeah, a really great selection of content. Bob Germain is talking about some Teams development topics. He's a great speaker. Definitely worth checking out.
Victor?
Yeah, highlights from, yeah.
Good. Thank you, everyone. Then enjoy the few commercials after us. And after a short break, we will be here with Laurie Pottmeyer. Bye.
Have a good day, everyone.
Thank you for being a part of the Galactic Collaboration Summit. Join the community and meet in-person world-class Microsoft and MVP speakers this autumn in Wiesbaden, Frankfurt, Germany, with 15 full-day tutorials and over 150 Microsoft 365 and Azure sessions at the combined European Collaboration Summit and European Cloud Summit from 26 to 28 October 2020. Community rocks.